César Eliseo Sotomaya.
We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're gonna get kicked out of being number 2, you're gonna go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
It's a very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land. Through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. Which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Now, this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives.
Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the east coast. You know who it is, family. When we're running, we're hosting the most on the Reparations perspective, bringing you those Negro descendants of the emancipated hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering. How y'all doing, family? It's been a minute. Lord have mercy, has it been a minute? I have missed you all. But I mean, work has been calling and very, very demanding. You know how it is. You know how it be. Uh-oh, what did I just do? Hold on, family. I'm coming back. Lord, today, let me remove this so we can see me clearly. Hi, love my folks. It's so great you finally caught one of my lives. I usually go live on Sundays at 5:30, but life has been lifing, so I had to just try and get one in because it's been over a week since I've gone live, given how crazy busy my schedule has been. I know the hour is late. It may just be a handful of us. Shout out to Facebook, to X, and thank you for you guys for tuning in. This is just a very important topic because it's not just about the rapists, the pedophiles, the murderers, the thugs that Joe Crow and the border czars Skamala have allowed into the country. It's far more specific than that, and it's far more criminal than that, right? And they've dropped this into our communities, okay? Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. Thank you, Amahl, #1 producer of the Reparationist Perspective. If you love to be a producer and get a shout out, please bless the Cash App, $ TRPTV, scrolling in the bar on the banner. But anywho, I digress. This is the nonsense that they dropped into our communities. And they love to focus on the white hand side of the atrocities of what's happened. And I'm not insensitive to that. Hi, Queen Yasmin. Thank you for joining the live, my love. I'm not insensitive to all the other young girls who have been raped and murdered by these unvetted illegals that the DemonRATS clearly opened the floodgates. Okay? They opened the floodgates to allow this in. Just like when George Floyd, after he was annihilated by the race soldier Chauvin, it's not like executing unarmed Black men, women, and children went away. That still persists. The news just chooses not to focus on it. That's how I feel about what could be happening in the Black communities where this is being dropped into. I know that it is costing us a fortune. I know that our national debt is $36 trillion. It is not just state money. This is the crime, right? This is how these DemonRATS get so caught up in trying to compare the ones I just showed you at the top of the broadcast. They want to not only single them out and say, well, Trump said he's only going to get rid of the criminals. But just because you call them asylum seekers, right? Just because you, DemonRATS, deem them as refugees, when the only ones really fleeing any evident atrocity were the Haitians, and we saw how y'all whipped them back into submission, right? All of this is illegal, no matter what you name it. Just because you believe your lies, don't make it true. And I am just over these demon rats I see all over the mainstream media, wanting to make Trump more of a demon than they are, when this is clearly being dropped into our communities predominantly. You don't hear the stories of what our people are undergoing under the weight of this type of unvetted, unvaxxed, illegal being dropped into the Black community. And the drain on our resources. The mayors need to be arrested and put in jail. The governors need to be arrested and put in jail. Joe Crow and every demon rat that continues to come out and gaslight us about these issues not persisting in our communities need to go to jail. They're not representing us. These corporations and small business owners that are hiring these illegals and not using E-Verify need to go to jail. The illegals who gladly accept all of the resources that are being starved out of the Black communities need to go to jail. They need to be deported. Crime is a crime. Remember when your grandmama taught you, your mama taught you, there is no big or little sin. I don't need for the crime to be as heinous as the one I showed you at the top of the broadcast for it to be a crime. And I am very over the demon rats and their shields continuing to protect and give cover to all of it at the expense and the economic genocide of the Negro freedman descendant, using our reparations, using our taxes, using our Social Security, while our people suffer the highest rates of homelessness and unemployment and underemployment in the entire nation. Yeah, white folks are finally waking up to the bullshiggity and, wanting to go and march and wanting to protest. That ain't our monkey nor our circus. We have got to stand on our Negro freedman descendant of the emancipated square, because they've already killed for and stolen everything that belongs to us. And then there's been a great Negro replacement with the melanated immigrant, who now occupies the entire congressional Black caucuses. They are not there working on behalf of the Negro freedmen to get the repair that we are owed. It's not a handout. It is a debt, like your credit cards, like your mortgage. The CBC, because the coons from our lineage have gotten in bed with the melanated immigrants so that they can receive reparations while leaving us to be ethnocide by the likes of them. And so these demon rats like to pretend and obfuscate how we got here. They like to pretend that we've been demanding reparations, an end to qualified immunity, and an anti-Black hate crime bill, while they were trying to force more abortions down our throats and allowing illegals to birth citizens. So they can remain in denial all they want. As long as I've got breath, I will be over here to defeat them every midterm and every general. That's what I'm prepared to do. Since they want to have their heads up their asses and be in denial about how we got here, about why they lost, and how all of what they did to us specifically is criminal. Why do I say to us specifically? Rewind the tape. White folks have killed for and stolen everything So when you open the floodgates to 25 million plus illegals, unvetted, unvaxxed, and you bring them into our communities, it's impacting us. Let's get into this, because these DemonRATS were once speaking Trump speak. It's okay when they speak against illegal immigration. It's okay when they talk about how harmful it is to the country. But now that Trump is doing something about it, he's public enemy number one. And they're literally out here protecting illegal criminals. Let's get into it. Before I go into the whole production, the hours late, I do want to show a commercial that I want to make a comment about this upcoming April 5th protest march that white folks are organizing, but they used a melanated immigrant as the poster child for this protest march on Washington. And I've got a message to my people who even think about getting out there, trying to do the impossible, knowing that you'll be the ones to get your heads cracked wide open if you show up to a white folk march. The white folks will get zip ties and rides to Burger King on the way to the jail, where they will be released because they've got the money to be released. But if black folks get in this, don't say you haven't been warned. Let me share my screen. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Welcome to the live, my loves. Thank you for joining me.
Black people, you know I love you, but some of y'all got a short memory. And so I'm here to remind you that Black people will not be marching in this era. If you recall, Black-led marches looked like this, and like this, and like this. Black-led marches were the most violent and have been the most violent forms of protest in America. White-led marches, the ones that are going on right now, look like this, and like this, and like this. The difference is you don't see any vitriol and violence from police, and you don't see any vitriol and violence from white extremist groups. And I can say this with certainty because I live in Chicago and I was out there too. They beat people, they chased people down, drug them through the street. They threw those smoke charges into the crowd. They had gas masks on. They sent people into our marches to throw bricks and cause riots and then blame it on us. Marching is over. Marching is literally the dumbest thing that we could do with our time right now. Instead, you need to be doing what I'm doing, and that's organizing the masses of Black people so that we can work together to protect ourselves from this hate and vitriol that this country has decided they will never stop. Organizing the masses of Black people, getting back in community with each other behind closed doors, coming up with solutions to rebuild our communities and protect our communities from this hate and vitriol. We do not need to be out in the streets wasting our time and energy so that they can put targets on our back, front, and forehead. And now they have a president that is 100% willing to let them go free after doing so. If you never listen to a word I say, Black people, please do not fall for the bait. Do not go out there marching in these streets. Instead, get organized in your community. I hope y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. We got a lot of work to do, and none of it is going to go on in the street. I will not be a target for some pathetic little loser with a rifle. Instead, I'm going to spend my time and energy organizing the masses of Black people. What are you going to do? Are you with me? Do you understand the assignment? I love you, Black man. I love you, Black woman. Knowledge is power. Power to the people.
So, let me address something here since she brought up the topic. And love my folks and Queen Yasmin. Thank you for your chats. I will be getting to your comments at the end of the broadcast. I'll do my best to make it brief, but you all know I was born to talk. I just want to make a comment about what she said concerning Trump, because I am really over the narrative that the racist vitriol concerning the Negro is one-sided. I'm really over that narrative. None of this has stopped under Joe Crow. None of it. So let's be crystal clear. Let me say a couple of disclaimers. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti the government's weaponization of immigration against the Negro to make us a permanent bottom caste to our own economic genocide. This is between us and our government. The melanated immigrants love running interference because they love their colonizers, with very few exceptions. And I am not pro-Republican. I am an independent, and I believe in weaponizing the vote and socializing the suffering. Because when the DemonRATS are in control of the country, we are the only ones in distress. That's what I'm on. I don't think if any of these other people had been running, any of these other repugnant clans had been running, other than Trump, who was committed to what one of the things that I could eke out, the tangible I could eke out, was deportation, closed borders. If any of the other ones had run and that not have been their priority, I'd have never voted for the president. I would have put myself in there as a president, or more than likely would have voted third party. Okay? So shout out, it took a collective of us. Those who sat it out, which I don't agree with, I believe you need to be courageous and get out here and make your vote known, especially when we're living in a climate of the DemonRATS working feverishly to allow illegals to vote in elections so they can stand the snowball's chance in hell now that we've awakened. I'm not playing roulette with the line. Okay? That's what I'm not doing. I'm going to eke me out a tangible. Which brings me to my next point about Sheldon Daniels. What a great disappointment after I sat up here and highlighted how good a candidate he is, for him to come out and boldly denounce Negro reparations. That's problematic, because now I question if you're a Negro coon or if you're a melanated immigrant, you are really more of an enemy to me now. And I was going to start putting you on recurring donations, and I was going to start doing some phone banking for you all the way from California for your race in Texas to unseat the demon rat, Jasmine Crockett, who is a total embarrassment. I'm also beginning to believe she is not one of us. And this is a problem when we vote the couch and we don't participate both in running for office and making our vote count against the DemonRATS. You know how they had black folks running out to vote against Trump? It wasn't like they were offering black folks a damn thing. Just get out there in 2020 and vote against Trump. Well, I'm telling us we need to vote against DemonRATS for several election cycles if we ever expect to get anything tangible from them. Ever. Because they're not doing it while you are politically lazy, not showing up to the polls to show them that this is what you're prepared to do. And when they're flooding the country with illegals and giving them the right to vote, that's called roulette with the line. Yes, hi, sentient being. Welcome to the live. I have to agree with you, one win at a time. Well, it's imperative. Understand, family, that we are at war because the DemonRATS have been declaring war against us ever since we fought and won civil rights that no longer really serve us. All the other groups, including the LGBTQ, which is predominantly them, get protections. But the Negro has no enforced protections. You see us getting our lives taken and these white folks walking all over the country. The DemonRATS declared war first. We must return the missile with the only commodity we've got left. That is the power of our vote. Don't you let anyone convince you that your vote doesn't matter and it does not count. And deportation, closed borders is something to show up and vote for. I'm an independent. I don't give a damn about either party, just like neither party gives a damn about us. But I see and I've lived what y'all are about to experience if you don't put these DemonRATS down. So back to Sharpton. As much of a disappointment as he is because he's not pro our repair, he still beats Jasmine Crockett. That's what I'm talking about. You have got to get out of your emotional bag and make sure you defeat DemonRATS who sit up here and boldly defend illegal criminals in this country. Wants to gaslight the Negro, stating that they're doing the jobs that we don't want to do, when we are clear that about 80% of our electorate is not college degreed and was once working the very jobs they claim we don't want to work. What we don't want to do is work them for slave wages while the median home price in the country is $500,000. That's what we're not doing. But they won't say that. And so I'm not here to push the repugnant clan, Sharpton Daniels, but I want you to start being politically educated so that you can make an informed decision about who is truly the lesser two evil. Since that's what y'all got us caught up in a cycle of, we got to two-step that itch all the way back up out of there. We can't just decide, oh, they're both evil, I'm voting the couch. Not when the line is on the line. Let's get into the next video.
Mr. President, you said that your national security advisor learned a lesson after a reporter.
Excuse me, I didn't make you. Go ahead.
Mr. President, the ceasefire agreements that
My
was broken
apologies,
today.
Stanley. That's not the one I meant to share. Stand by. It showed one thing over here and then did something else. We have a lot to go through, but I'll try to be quick. These are the X-Files.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Shaki Nichols with Unfiltered Vision News. This afternoon, it's been found out that a state-funded job training program in Chicago, Illinois, under the direction of Governor J.B. Pritzker, it's under this Climate Equitable Jobs Act. And this actual act promised jobs for Black men and women in the city. We know that people are desperately looking for jobs, especially within Illinois. It has come to our attention that they've exposed, Pastor David Lowry has, that millions of taxpayer dollars are allegedly being used to house and train illegal aliens. Now, this has been definitely a hot button issue. I know that Pastor Lowry and I have gone over it on Let the Truth Be Told. And we've shown you videos of Mayor Brandon Johnston and J.B. Pritzker saying that they would defend and uphold individuals. And they called them residents. They didn't call them citizens. And they were pressed on would they continue to support illegal aliens in the sanctuary city. They evaded those questions. But Pastor Lowry actually came across this particular training that he was invited to. And when he showed up with a Trump hat on, he was denied, and he was told that he would no longer be able to participate in the program. But while he was there, he actually exposed how this program was not being.
Well, that cut off. I can't find the part 2 to that one. But basically, the volume was low. It was as high as I could make it on my end. Hi, the MD20. I see you, family. Thank you for joining the live. Okay, that volume was low, but there was the subtitles running in it. And basically, she's saying that a jobs program that was supposed to be for the Negro was actually being repurposed, as are many of our resources, to house and give job training to illegal criminals in Chicago. These are the crimes I speak of. It shouldn't have to be as extreme as being raped or murdered before it be considered a crime. There is no big or little crime. If you cross those borders illegally at the invitation of Joe Crow and Skamala, the border czar, you've committed a crime. You deserve to be arrested, and Trump and Holman have said they will deport you and your families. And that's why I say the mayors and the governors of these sanctuary cities need to be arrested as well. They are allowing this at the expense of the Negro in our cities, where we've already suffered redlining, gentrification, now Negro removal, urban Negro removal. And you need to show up in the midterms in Obama-style numbers and continue to keep your foot on the necks of the lying, betraying, intentionally neglectful demon rats. We are at war, and we are out of time. You let them take over the House and the Senate come midterms. You will become California. And then where are you going? And with what? Let's keep going. Listen, I'm just going to take them in the order they show up, child. I can't seem to organize them to tell my story in the way that I set it up for you today. So I'll just show my X-Files and I'll talk it through and tell you the ins and outs of this kind of stuff. Hold on. Okay. Stand by. Now, this particular X-File I want to show you is to help you understand and overstand and understand that they're bringing in moneyed groups as well. These are the kinds that Skamala and Joe Crow were flying in on those night flights. They hate us. To them, the Negro is the Dalits of their Hindu caste systems. Skamala is East Indian Brahmin caste, okay? That means she's white, where she heralds from. When Martin Luther King Jr. went over to India and came back to report his findings, he said that we would be akin to the Dalits. They kind of clean out feces. That's their jobs. That's what the black people would be if we were in India. Here we've got this gentleman here white supremacists and the Hindu caste system are one in the same. Which is why you see J.D. Vance married to Usha, and you see Kamala Harris married to the Jewish Dougie. It's not just impacting us on the lower level jobs. This is not just happening on the farms, in the orange groves, in the avocado gardens, okay? This is all the way up and through our government. Vivek Ramaswamy, okay, the likes of him, which is why we must fight against it to whatever degree that we can. We must fight against this immigration. It is hurting us in every level of existence in this country. That's why I call them Crayola wanton white supremacists with 3 Ks, no less. So here we have white supremacists plus Hindu caste system. Indians, Hindu people practice racism, colorism for centuries before Europeans began using a similar system in Europe and later the Americas. So he's saying that they did it centuries before the Europeans. The Europeans more than likely modeled after their hate. Let's listen to what this gentleman has to say about it.
The real reason no one in the West is talking about Hindu fascism. It's because caste, the root of Hindu fundamentalism, is the same thing as white supremacy. The two systems fit together so neatly, and nobody wants to rock that boat. The RSS knew it. They saw the British as cousins. They did not oppose colonialism. And when the British found the caste system, they were delighted. A system of racial hierarchy that predated them by several thousand years. What could be better than that? They hardly had to do.
Forgive the buffering, family. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. This is weird. Hold on. Every time I go live lately, it's a mess, y'all.
As white supremacy. The two systems fit together so neatly, and nobody wants to rock that boat. The RSS knew it. They saw the British as cousins. They did not oppose colonialism. And when the British found the caste system, they were delighted. A system of racial hierarchy that predated them by several thousand years. What could be better than that? They hardly had to do anything. And that's why upper caste Hindus in the West think they deserve this model minority status and look down on black people. It's the same thing their families have been doing for centuries. Black people exist in India too. They're called Dalits. It's the same thing. Now, I have got 2 degrees, one from Oxford, one from Cambridge in social sciences, including primarily the study of the politics and sociology of developing countries. And it took the internet for me to learn about caste. As soon as dial-up internet came about, that was when I discovered what it was all about. Until then, I didn't know. I knew all about racism, nothing about caste. It serves the interests of the global ruling class. That's why.
So you heard it. And this is what is being imported into the interior of this country. What's up, The Rock? I see you, fam. Thank you for joining the live. This is what is being allowed into the country. These are the ones that are in office. These are the ones that are at the hiring tables to deny Negroes position. This is what they're allowing into this country. And we need to be very concerned about that. And our politics need to defeat it to the best of our ability. Trump and them are in bed with this nonsense too. They're not totally exempt. But when I think in terms of our collective, Our collective is not the degree. They're not going to make it at this rate. They will be economically genocided. While the lamestream, demon-radically run mass media is not talking about this. So I have to expose it. Let's go to the next one. I'll get to your comments shortly, family. Trying to run through these things quickly so that we can get out. So I like what this gentleman had to say. Let it be known, says, I love black men. Finally, it's been said. This is great. Agent Ratliff of the OCDA, a real company, has demanded reallocating wasteful U.S. aid into $2 trillion on behalf of the entire Black American community. And I couldn't agree with him more. So I want to highlight this. This is what we need to be doing. This type of campaigning on behalf of the Negro. Let me blow it up and share.
We want the Department of Government Efficiency, Dodge is what they call it. We want them, all these companies that they auditing for money, we want them to start dispersing that into the black communities. I already set up a chime account. All we asking for is $2 trillion. Only $2 trillion. And I'm going to disperse the money. Now, when it comes to President Trump, we want the Department of Government Efficiency, Dodge is what they call it.
This is the type of advocacy we need to be doing as they continually give away our reparations and protections to everyone but us. This is the work. Let's continue. Now, this ally, well, he sounds like an ally to me, and I want you to hear what he's got to say. I may stop it in between. We'll see. But I liked what he had to say.
The United States government didn't stop killing black leaders because they had some moral awakening. They stopped because they didn't need to anymore. Once they wiped out the radicals, Malcolm, MLK, Fred Hampton, all of them, the revolution got cut off at the knees. After that, why waste a bullet when you can just kill a movement before it even starts? By the 80s, they swapped out black power for black profit. They handed out a few golden tickets, made sure there were just enough rich and famous black faces to sell the idea that the system works. Instead of liberation, they handed out contracts, endorsements, executive positions. Instead of black power, they gave them black excellence. And look, ain't nobody saying black folks shouldn't be successful. But success inside the system is not the same as dismantling it. They let a few through the gates just as long as they...
Success inside the system is not the same as dismantling it. Now he's speaking historically what we're currently living. You see the sabotage by the legacy organizations and the Pan-African organizations all over the country, taking over our reparations conversations and running interference. Out here in California, and I'm going to bring it in another live. I'm kind of behind in my lives, given that I was off for about a week. So I've got to see where I can fit this in sooner than later. But you literally had Akilah Weber, Dr. Shirley Weber's own daughter, whom she birthed, run interference for, I want to say it was Cal State University. Was it CSU? Yeah, USC. I think it's University of Southern California, for them to get millions of dollars to continue to study how to study our genealogy when we've already got that built in to our resolutions concerning the task force hearings. If you don't know who Dr. Shirley Weber is, she was the author of the bill that got us the task force, and she came in there and fought for us to get lineage-based repair. Her own daughter, who sits on the California Legislative Black Caucus, ran interference and defeated the grassroots, who came out in droves and told those senators to vote no on these bills that were authored by Akilah Weber at the behest of Governor Newsom, who wants to make sure that everyone gets paid to study us into perpetuity until we are no more in California. This is what the mud, the soil is up against. We are out of time. Let's continue.
They played by the rules, and those rules stay in line. Talk about personal success, not collective struggle. Build a brand, not a movement. They don't got to assassinate anyone when they can just buy them out, or better yet, turn them into a joke. Look at what they did to Colin Kaepernick. Stood up for something, got blackballed out of the league. Angela Davis spent decades on FBI watch lists. Fred Hampton, they learned their lesson from him. Don't let him get big enough to matter in the first place. So now they just lock them up before they can get too loud. Call them terrorists, call them extremists, turn them into a headline, a mugshot, a social media.
And that's what's happening to your girl over here. Shadow banned. And The Rock, I got your message, fam. Wait, was it from The Rock? I don't think it's from you. I think it was from someone else about coming over to other platforms because I'm being shadow banned. They've demonetized me. TikTok literally banned one of my most popular pages, akin to what Facebook did when they wiped out 5,000 subs. This is what they do when you speak the truth. They will find a way to silence you. That's why it's up to you all to thumbs up and to support the channel. Because if we don't tell the truth, it will be the end of the line for the line. Let's continue.
Be a circus. And for the rest, they dangle the American dream in front of them like a carrot. Work hard, climb the ladder, keep your head down, but for whose dream? Black median wealth is projected to be zero by 2053. They never fixed redlining, they just rebranded it as gentrification. They never ended Jim Crow, they just turned it into mass incarceration. More black men in prison today than there were enslaved in 1860. That ain't a coincidence, that is by
more black men in prison today than were enslaved in 1860. This is a problem because the black vote has been used to ethnocide and economically genocide us. Through the war on drugs, the war on poverty, rendering the black woman a single mom, removing the husbands from the home, the LGBTQ agenda, the transgender agenda, abortion, unemployment, underemployment, homelessness. This is not sustainable. We're not going to make it if we do not weaponize our votes and keep the DemonRATS out of power for several election cycles, or we're done.
Design. But the thing is, this ain't just about race. Yeah, black folks got the worst of it, but they ain't the only ones caught in this machine. They keep everybody distracted. Working class whites, Latinos, immigrants, poor folks of every shade, fighting each other while the real power stays untouched. They convinced half the country that a CEO with their skin color is their ally, while their own neighbor is the enemy. Divide and conquer, same as always. So the real question ain't what happened to the movement. It's how do we bring it back? Because if they don't have to kill revolutionaries anymore, that means we already lost once. And winning again, that ain't going to look comfortable. It ain't going to look polite. The next wave of revolutionaries are going to seem too much at first, too radical, too angry, too unwilling to compromise. But that's the only way to go forward. The civil rights movement was called extreme in its time. The labor movement was called un-American. Every fight for freedom has been smeared before it's been won. So what's it going to take? Because if history's got anything to teach us, it's that nothing changes till people get real uncomfortable. The system don't break itself. The question is, are we ready to break it?
This is what the protest vote is about. Hi, Mary Lee. This is what the protest vote is about. They have declared war on us. It's the only commodity we've got left. It's our vote. Let's continue. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. A throwback in case anyone was at all confused.
Just be aware of this. Black people invented the traffic signal, air conditioning, refrigerator, hearing aid, lawnmower, fountain pen, wrench, clothes dryer. The first steam engine was invented by a black person, but they couldn't patent it because he was a slave. So go to our website. You can check. Just be aware of this. Black people invented the traffic.
Now, when she references that we invented these things, even while slaves, I've already done this broadcast where I shared with you all that as slaves, we couldn't patent our own inventions. So this is what I mean by white folks have been paid over and over and over again because they were the ones to patent our inventions. So while you got dumbass DemonRATS like Jasmine and AOC and Ilhan Omar and the like sitting up here trying to convince you that they've got to import this kind of talent, we were all the talent before they dropped even more immigrants on top of us, akin to the first wave, which were European. Now they're bringing in the Crayolas with 3 Ks. So know your history. We not only built the country, we were the ingenuity that undergirds every invention in this country, predominantly, was us. So they're gaslighting and lying in your faces to try to pretend, well, they've done a hell of a job with the public education school system of setting us up with a preschool to prison pipeline and the Negro removal of teachers that I grew up with. And I'm sure many of you that watch my broadcast grew up with Negro teachers who cared about you. This is why the HBCUs become important, because our children can go into an environment where they can be fostered and cared for, and people are pulling for them and giving them every fighting chance to excel. That is nothing but the DemonRATS as well. $80 billion a year, and they pocketing 60% of it on the admin side. The rest of the states are divvying up into public schools, into white neighborhoods that we're excluded from, while starving the black schools of the resources to teach our children. All by design. So they've stripped us of the ingenious that we are, the ingenuity, the creativity, the technical side to us. This has all been done by design. And unless you have the resources to properly educate your children, which Donald Trump, oh, by the way, is trying to procure, not necessarily directly on our behalf, but if he's pro-American and we're Black Americans, don't we benefit from things like school of choice, which gives you the monies that the feds have been giving to the darn states to educate your children, while they're bringing in white and immigrant teachers who don't even speak the King's English, paying them $50,000 to $100,000 a year to not educate your children, call them problem children, put them on all type of drugs, and set them up for the prisons for free labor, while educating the immigrants. We spend the most, and our scores are in the toilet. I got a whole series. Tyrone can't read because Jose can't speak English. Check it out. Let's continue. Nas says we need more of this. Send them all back. Let's make America great again by deporting as many illegal alien families as we can. We will have better paying jobs, lower housing costs, less crime, and more peace. Well, that's what we had prior to the DemonRATS open the floodgates. When we were under Trump, the unemployment figures for Blacks in the state of California was 5%. Once Negroes, not me, gave Joe Crow and Scammell of the White House, it skyrocketed. They wouldn't even talk percentages. And the jobs that the numbers that they were boasting about was for immigrants and illegal job increase. We still suffer the highest rates of unemployment under Joe Crow. Those numbers were not telling the truth. There are white and immigrant, which are one and the same, because none of them are foundational to this country. It's their unemployment figures, and then there's ours. That's the truth we need to deal with. And even within ours, we need to deal with the truth that the melanated immigrant is more gainfully employed and makes 3 times the salary, or at least double the salary that we earn. I've shared this stat with y'all till I'm blue in the face. That Africans were 60,000 liquid to U.S. Black 200 liquid. They were 54% degree to our 44% degree. They were 113,000 median income to our 53.5. Hispanics were 17% degreed, and yet their median income was 50,000 within 3,500 of our median at 53.5 and 44% degree 20 years ago, pre-pandemic.
Señor, no era americano. Y bien, para las personas que en el video anterior me decían que el video no era verdad, que era un video antiguo, miren, el video lo grabé el día de ayer, martes 11 de marzo de 2025. ¿Sí? Entonces, lo que pasó aquí, bien, mucha gente dice que esto no es ICE, que esto es la policía, pero miren, les dejo un dato. De ahí sacaron a un señor americano, sí, pero el otro señor no era americano, era latino. Entonces,
I'm
no se
gonna
olviden.
stop sharing this one and move on to the next because I don't speak Espanol. I mean, uno, dos, tres. I can count, but can't read it, or I can't understand it when they speak it without the subtitles. So let's move on. Just too much, and I got to get to my co-host in the chat.
I just had to share this X-file because it really unnerved me. This is a slap in the face, says Miss T, of Black Americans who are descendants of those people sold into chattel slavery like animals at the New York Stock Exchange, who actually did die, who lived the rest of their lives in captivity and their heirs for over 250 years at that very location. Very disrespectful. So this is a bunch of libs died in front of the New York Stock Exchange. Hold on. It's just despicable. Died from no health insurance. No canceled by something. Must did something first polio death in 70 years. Medicaid cuts killed me. Fatal cancer, Doge cuts. Yeah, this is, you see, had that been Negroes, we know they'd have died for real on that day. That's why I'm encouraging you, stay home, go on vacation, live your best life. This ain't our fight. Hold on one second, y'all. Let's go to the next. The constitutional crisis is allowing unelected judges to issue injunctions regarding national security issues like deportations without a hearing. Anyone telling you otherwise is a liar. Let's listen.
Administration is really not going to. We left that hearing even more concerned than we were initially. I mean, the administration tried to first say, well, we didn't think you meant this and that, but obviously they clearly understood what the order meant. They're basically just saying, don't interfere with us. And they even went as far as going to the DC Circuit a few hours before the hearing to try and get the judge thrown off the case. I mean, this is really extraordinary. And what I said in the hearing was, I wanted to be very careful with my words, but I felt like, although a lot of people throw around the term constitutional crisis, we were moving in that direction if the administration is really not going to allow federal courts to do their job. We left that hearing even more concerned than we were initially. I mean, the administration tried.
ACLU lawyer fighting Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act feels like we're moving toward constitutional crises. Trump is doing everything in his power to remove these illegals, and these are the type of people who will not come to the defense of the Negro, fighting harder for illegals to stay in this country against the will of the people. I voted for this. Many of you who follow me on my broadcast voted for deportation, closed borders. And then we've got these people, mostly DemonRATS, running interference and involving judges to prevent Trump from doing what we, the people, voted for. He didn't just win the Electoral College, he won the popular vote. While the DemonRATS lie to you and tell you this election was not about the economy and immigration. We must weaponize the vote, family. And that's my square. And I'm going to continue to push it till I get more than 8% Black women and 22% of Black men. Maybe 23% of them. It makes no sense that 92% of our electorate, 92% Black women and 77% Black men went out and voted for Joe Crow and Skamala. That's problematic. We're voting against our own interest, and we're voting for our erasure and replacement with immigrants.
A vote for the DemonRATS is exactly that. Let's continue. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. I'll be over in a second, y'all. I'm almost done. I'll have to do a part 2 to this. Oh, God. I'm not going to be able to get through everything. So, Governors Gavin Newsom and Tampon Tim are complaining that violent illegals are being deported from the U.S. The deported gangbangers were known to be illegals and associated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. I don't know. Yet Newsom and Walls. Now, Newsom is earmarked $12 million for us to establish an Office of Freedmen Affairs down here in California, but he earmarked $150 million for the illegals to fight for a right to stay in what is now Little Mexico. What I'm over here trying to do is to sound the alarm to the nation of Negroes remaining so that you don't become as few in number as we are in California. That's what I'm over here to do. $150 million for lawyers so that these illegals can stay. $12 million that they are doing everything in their power to create more bills so that we don't get access to that, to establish the Freedmen Affairs so we can run our own damn genealogy and get checks floating to the people. But y'all keep voting blue no matter who. Let's go.
Administration, the notion that you can complete what's happened today with the Alien Enemies Act, 1700s, and the deportation, and just the beginning. I mean, this to me, of all the things that has happened during the Trump administration, the notion that you can completely disregard the federal court and literally challenge the court just blatantly in contempt of court. I mean, that's the cornerstone of this constitutional democracy. What's happened today with the Alien Enemies Act.
How in the world is he fighting for the constitutional rights of non-citizens? You don't ever hear these DemonRATS fighting as hard for the Negro to flourish in the country of our ancestors as they do immigrants, illegals no less. Yes, Mary, Gavin Newsom has a ScrewTube channel now because he saw Trump become relevant with the youth over in the social media spaces. Now the DemonRATS are, trying to piggyback off of his success, but it ain't gonna go down. Not as long as I've got breath. And we see what happened the last time. So yeah, I've weaponized the social media for the revolution. The revolution has been social mediaized. And I'm not done yet. I've got a whole daughter that fuels my engine. I'm fighting for her, your sons and daughters, your grandbabies, great-grands. I'm going to keep on running my mouth. I don't care if I'm shadow banned. You can strike my channels. I'm just going to establish another one. I'm not going away until our people understand that you've got to stop voting for the extinction of your lineage. You said Gavin Newsom is not following the law using federal funds on illegals. Gavin Newsom is not following the law using federal funds on illegals. That's right, Mary Lee. They all need to go to jail. As a matter of fact, Trump
Was it Pam Bondi? I got to find it and bring it next broadcast to you, family. But I think that they are denying Newsom funds out here in California. He's being denied federal funds, not necessarily for the illegal issue, which baffles me. Why Karen Bass wasn't on the Hill with Brandon and those other two, DemonRATS. I think it was a Wu out of Boston, and I can't think of the other guy. Why wasn't Karen Bass at those hearings? Those sanctuary city hearings. But I digress. Newsom is still on that transgender-ish out here. And he exposed himself in one of them screw tube chats where he was running his mouth too much. And when the Trump administration got a hold of the fact that he's still caping for transgenders to have access to women's sports and to continue to use their facilities, Trump came out and said, you gonna F around and find out, sir. You're not getting federal funds. This goes against my executive order. So he can keep on playing if he wants to. Today, Trump got time for it. He will remove those funds. That's why you see a lot of these DemonRATS getting in line. Okay, let's keep going. I don't know what this is. Let me see. Oh, Lord, we may have seen this one already. Child the Ghetto. I am so tired of this. Okay, let's close that out. It must not be meant to see that one. I don't have time to tarry. Let's go to the next one. So that's what I'm talking about. The hypocrisy. Hold on, let me stop sharing that. The hypocrisy of the DemonRATS, who are now doing everything in their power to protect these illegals, because they have figured out that this is a way to extinct the line in our justice claim. They are literally weaponizing the black vote, our never-ending Holocaust, to raise all these immigrant groups over us to our economic genocide. Because when they extinct the line, one election at a time, it ends their need to pay reparations. They don't want to pay this debt. And there's been a whole new surge of us that have figured out that the crap they've been championing the HR 40 and all this nonsense, and you see what's happening in every demon-radically ran state where we're fighting for reparations. You see their betrayal of the Negro on full display, and they're paying for it at the polls. If Kamala had won, the nation would have gone the way of California. We are now Little Mexico. It's not just the orange groves. It's all the way up and through executive branches, and they're not hiring us. I'm the only Negro on my team. Let that sink in.
Let's keep going. More to share. Some of these I'll be able to, that little snippet told it all. They love to single out Trump for everything they've already done. Everything they've already done. They were voting against illegal immigration while at the same time supporting DACA as the dreamers that Martin Luther King Jr. established for us. The dream was about us. That's what I mean. Everything we come up with, every creation, they co-opt and corrupt for their own advantage. Everything we do. The Me Too movement was initially about Black women. By the time the white women took it over, they wouldn't allow Black women to speak on it at their different rallies and protests. Everything. Pushing back against immigration goes all the way back, I think, to Frederick Douglass. And while at the same time Barack was pushing against illegal immigration, he was establishing the Office of the New Americas and ending the Negro identifier with the help of Grace Ming. We were termed Negro after we were freed. The majority of us, over 22 million, have Negro on our birth certificates. They want to talk about Trump separating families. Obama did it first. They want to talk about Trump and his deportations. Obama deported millions. They cannot be trusted. We must put them down like the rabid dogs they are. Like the rabid demon rats they are. We are at war. Let's continue. Google has agreed to settle the lawsuit and pay $28 million. However, it comes after Cantu's lawyer confirmed Black workers would not be a part of the lawsuit per Google's request. Look at this anti-Black BS. Let's see. Okay, what I want to say about this, family. Before you get yourself in a lather over the term Black, since they flattened Blackness in this country, you have to ask, what percentage of the Negroes does this impact? You see, because we've got way too many fights to be expending our energy over immigrants locking out melanated immigrants who are locking us out of our own reparations. Why would I expend energy for melanated immigrants being locked out of a $28 million racial settlement with Google when they are anti-Negro, clearly by their actions in the CBC and beyond? The Pan-African orgs, NAACP, the legacy orgs, they've infiltrated everywhere with the Black vote. So you must learn how to reserve and conserve your energy by asking two very important questions. Who you and what percent of Negroes are impacted? Those should be your litmus test as to the level of your involvement. Moving on. They're looking out for them while trying to guilt you for not giving a damn and not putting your life on the line, throwing everyone off the tit. They're angry that we're focused on ourselves. And that's where our focus should have been all along. But thankfully, we woke up before we ran out of time, like completely. We're no more. Let's keep going. I think I'm going to do that one Monday. It's pretty lengthy. I'm not Monday, Sunday. It's my goal to get back on schedule with our Sunday programming at 5:30. Always a lot going on, family. I don't have the luxury of doing this full time. I wish I did, but not yet. Okay, so this young sister here, this lady puts the Demon Rat Party lack of common sense in perspective. Let me let you hear from her. If it'll play. Hold on.
Never in my life would I have imagined that me voting against killing babies would be so controversial. That me voting against tampons in boys' bathrooms would be so controversial. That me voting against our country being ran through like a whore would be so controversial. Like, you think I murdered somebody. You think I did something illegal. But I'm just standing on common sense. Like, y'all know damn well a man cannot become a woman, so why the hell are y'all voting for the party that thinks that's the case? Are y'all stupid? Never in my life would I have imagined.
The young people have more sense than the older people. I saw this sister who claims to be MAGA. Now, I'm not going that far. I'm not wearing no Trump paraphernalia. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, the slogan should be "Make America Great" for the very first time for the Negro. Okay, you're not gonna see me in no MAGA gear and doing the most like she was, but because she did that, her son, I think he's 21 or 20, and he defended himself, and the judge is trying to put him away for 20 plus years, 21 years, I think it is. And she was appealing to our group, which she is a part of, to help. But because she was so pro-MAGA, they decide her son ain't worth saving. Now, that's just downright niggering, as far as I'm concerned. That because you decide to weaponize your vote against abortion, against mass illegal immigration, against wars, proxy wars, financed with our reparations, because you vote against that, you don't deserve the protection of the collective? That's what we're not doing. This woman asked, all she said was to please help me make the messaging of this video go viral. Didn't ask for a dime. But we are not leaving our people to die on the vine and to suffer injustices because they voted for deportation, closed borders, pro-life, and an end to war. And so the children shall lead them. She was absolutely correct in everything she said. And I'm not turning my back, just like I wouldn't want somebody to turn their back on me if that was my daughter, because I voted for Trump. Because what I really voted for was deportation, closed borders. I wouldn't expect y'all to abandon me if something was going on with my daughter because of my political views. And because I'm not sipping on the demon rat cyanide. And because I speak against them. Because we've been their most loyal voter base for 70 freaking years. And I'm employing upon us to weaponize our vote. I wouldn't expect you to turn your back on me as if I'm a common enemy, when the same injustices were happening under Joe Crow as they are Trump. He didn't end qualified immunity. The race soldiers were still murdering us, our unarmed black men, women, and children, when the demon rats were in control of the country. But the media that they own wasn't televising it because they didn't want no more George Floyd-style protests throughout the country and the world. Yes, Mary Lee. They are stupid. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the niggerants. Stand by.
A judge has rebuked the Trump administration over whether it ignored orders during the controversial deportation of Venezuelan migrants. The administration accuses them of being gang members, despite some having no criminal records. As Christian Benavides reports, the Trump administration has also announced plans to revoke the status of some immigrants who arrived to the United States legally.
Late Friday, the Trump administration announced it was revoking the legal status of more than 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela who came to the U.S. legally under a parole status. The Biden.
This is the quickest way to clear
Sorry,
out stuck
guys.
poop.
Lord
I
have
have
mercy.
Stop. Are you trying to kill us?
Biden-era program known as CHNV allowed the immigrants to live in the U.S. through sponsorships by U.S. citizens and permanent residents.
In the next 30 days, their work permits and deportation protections will be lapsed and terminated by the Department of Homeland Security, which is warning that if these people do not voluntarily depart the country, John, they will be found, arrested, and deported from the country.
It comes as Friday, federal judge James Boasberg rebuked the Trump administration for ignoring his order to turn planes around mid-flight, carrying Venezuelan migrants to a high-security detention facility in El Salvador. Boasberg asked that just.
I apologize, family, for the buffering. Just a second.
A federal judge has rebuked the
fast forwarded, family.
Ignoring his order to turn planes around mid-flight, carrying Venezuelan migrants to a high-security detention facility in El Salvador. Boasberg asked that Justice Department attorney, did you not understand, and accused the administration of disrespecting the court, ignoring orders, and missing his deadlines. The president has firmly stood by his decision and blasted the judge.
They're bad people. We don't want them in our country. We can't let a judge say that he wants them. You know, he didn't run for president. He didn't get much more than 80 million votes. And we just can't let that happen.
The administration claims all the men who were deported are gang members, despite some having no criminal history and given no due process. The deportees are being held in one of the most notorious prisons in the world. Christian Benavides, CBS News.
A program that allowed about 240,000 Ukrainian immigrants to come to the United States legally under a similar parole is also being eyed now by the Trump administration. The president said early this month he would decide soon whether to end that program.
So, once again, you see, Trump is trying to handle business the way he was elected to, and these judges are running interference, giving more protections to illegals. What does the title of my video say? A crime is a crime. I'm not really giving a damn if they committed a crime or not. If they're illegally here, they need to go. Your temporary protective statuses went the way of Joe Crow and Skamala. You don't have those protections. And the popular vote says we want an end to this. And Negroes especially need an end to it because it's impacting our communities. They were the ones being targeted, our communities specifically. You saw when they tried to drop these illegals off in Martha's Vineyard, how fast they got them out of Obamaville. They're not putting these illegals even in their own communities with their own people. They're not putting them in white communities. This is in our communities, and if you're sucking up housing and you're sucking up food stamps and cash aid and medical and education, okay? It's unacceptable and it's a crime. I don't care that you've got the participation of the DemonRATS mayors and governors and the president, the former president. A crime is a crime. And they're criminals for allowing it to happen to the most vulnerable people in the country by design. I'm coming, y'all. I'm almost done. So we some survivors. Whatever happens, just gonna happen. In the meantime, we definitely going to enjoy our life. This is what I need y'all to be doing, okay? While these folks is wailing and gnashing of teeth after all of what they've done to us, get your fans and learn a new line dance.
Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Give me one time. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground. Yeah.
Black people learning a new line dance while U.S. is slowly crumbling. It's a beautiful thing. I will stop playing that before they take my video down because I played a minute of a song that has a copyright strike or something. Child, they'll just pick a reason. But that's what y'all need to be doing. Resting. Do not get involved with this nonsense. Let it fall like Rome. If we can't flourish in the country of our ancestors, no one will. And that's on period. Pooh, like the kids say. Let's keep going. Now, I want y'all to also be aware of all of this crap concerning this Black female activist. This is fake news to get Blacks scared that they will get deported or detained too. Here is the article. It says her status is unclear, which probably means she's a non-citizen. So I was trying to find a photo. Hold on, y'all. Let me see. I was trying to find the photo because I've got it posted. Oh, here she is. I said, okay, so this is another warning. Now, I posted this over on X. It's got about 76,000 views. Now, when you look at this woman here, she looks like she could be family, right? This is what they do. They cosplay us, right? And they call her Black. This is why we're fighting for delineation right here. Black. They love flat blackness to get us up in a lather so that we can lose our ish and run out in these streets and be potentially murdered by the race soldiers. Black activists detained by ICE amid Trump's mass deportation efforts. So I share with my viewers, what have I told y'all? Before you jump out the gym, ask yourself, is she Negro or a melanated immigrant? This is designed to make us crash out. Where are we at? All together now on vacation, and I demand delineation. So this was a very active post. Let me show it to you all. I mean, you know, they was mad at me because they don't like that I speak against the melanated immigrant. Well, the melanated immigrant has told us point blank and period, they are not here to help. They are here to take. Black is a color. Is she a freedman is the question, which is no. Repost from at Black Information Network. A Black activist has been detained by ICE in President Donald Trump's mass deportation efforts. According to reports, 31-year-old Melissa Melly Mel, Atwell Holder. Now, you can look at these names. There's another way you can figure out that she ain't one of us. We had a Lisa Holder, a whole immigrant, on the California Reparations Task Force. So you can look at names since they're hiding where they descend from. They're scrubbing the enters of net, so you can't figure that out. Melissa Melly Mel Atwell Holder. Now, how many descendants of the emancipated in the U.S. have names called Atwell or Holder? You got to ask yourself these questions before you jump out the gym. A social media activist who's been a vocal critic of the People's Progressive Party Civic PPP/C government of Guyana and the opposition is currently being held in ICE custody in Louisiana. The specifics of Atwell Holder's immigration status remain unclear. She reportedly traveled to the U.S. last year, but the details of her legal standing haven't been publicly disclosed. So I go on to say, wait, is this where I said it? No. I was sharing that information. Let's see if it's somewhere here. So, well, is she an illegal immigrant? Kadive asked. I said, it's not my monkey nor my circus. Be easy, that dude says delineation forever. I said, or perish as a lineage under flat black. You can't allow these people to call you xenophobes or Trump supporters, things that used to impact me way back in my early fight for reparations. I used to be affected by the name calling. All of that is designed, all of that name calling is designed to get you focused on the needs of everybody else to your own people's peril. So let me continue. When was the last time a melanated immigrant benefited Black American freedmen more than Black American freedmen benefited melanated immigrants? If she's an immigrant, then her people wore out their welcome for her. Freedmen don't owe anybody ish. I said we fought for them to be allies. They, along with all the other immigrants, weaponized our never-ending Holocaust in America to their advantage and to our ethnocide genocide. They want our position. We told them hell to the no, 11/5/24. That was the day we stood up for the Negro. And this was funny. It got a laugh out of me. Hold on. Let me see. Girl, put me on the prayer list. And then later that day, girl, put me on the prayer list. I'm not going to make it today. Definitely on vacation, says the post. I thought that was cute and very, very funny. It tickled my, you see me laughing. I'm having a good time. We on vacation, y'all. I love the support I got. Oh, I got a lot of hate too, but whatever. I don't care about that. I'm here to reach my tribe. Enough is enough. We had enough. The Black delegation said it. Deport them all, 2025. We have fun for this one. Black Americans aren't in any immigration system at all. If you're in any immigration database, you're not of here, period. There's no gray area. So I'm trying to get to what she really looks like, y'all. Just give me a second. I'm scrolling. I said, wait, let's go back. I have fun with this one. She better get help from her fellow American Black immigrant. She probably overstayed her visa or committed some type of fraud. Handle that on your own, shaking my head. Now, here's this man want to come for your sister. And I don't know why folks come for me when I ain't sending for them. But they like to try me. They want that TRP smoke. I got plenty of it. So Gershie goes on to say, man, some of you Negroes are miserable. Have fun trying to gatekeep who can be black or not. Lord have mercy. They want to make black about skin tone in this country so that when they erase us, when they genocide us, when we're ethnically cleansed from this piece, the world will be none the wiser because the people will have been identified as black based on skin tone versus lineage. Open up your third eye, which is your first eye. That's what's happening in real time. I said, you see, being black in America is 25-8, not just out of convenience for your advancement with our entitlements. Trump told you we built this. He delineated us from y'all when he told you who the 14th was for. Now he's showing y'all. Yes, I'm having fun sharing with my people how to vacation. I got 37 hearts on that, y'all. Yes, I'm having a good time. She's African. I'm trying to get to the picture. When in doubt, look at a black person's nose. It'll tell you if they're black American or immigrant. I said, and the hairline. We were having a ball on this phone. We were going in. What's her lineage? I heard she's Ghanaian. That's not black. Are we taking black back? We taking African American back? We taking back all of our identifiers. OMB be damned, okay? He said, deport her fine ass. Here's the picture, y'all. I said, yeah, only when they cosplay us. This is what she really looks like. Now, she's not a bad looking sister, okay? I'm not saying that. But this is social media activist Melissa Melly Mel Atwell will appear before a U.S. immigration judge on March 28 to have her case heard for the first time. And so this is the TR roof. You can see the hairline. You can see the nose. You can look at her now and see that she ain't one of us. That's all I'm trying to say. Black is beautiful in terms of melanated immigrants and black Americans. I'm not disparaging her, but you see a stark difference between that and this. That's my only point. They love to cosplay us because they want our position. Let's go on to the next. Lots to share, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm almost done. That's an African face, and I don't have nothing against African faces. But I'm against you calling yourself a black activist in America where black is a whole lineage up in here. That's the problem I have. Here is a list of people who don't represent you. Read their mission statements. There's nothing in it that specifically suggests that they're fighting for the rights for foundational black Americans exclusively. So look at the coons who are selling us out. Let's look at it. Because identity and respectability must die for Negroes to flourish in the country of our ancestors. We must deaden this nonsense. We must vote them out, even if it means we have no congressional black caucus at all. What's the point in putting people in place that look like you, that do the job of white supremacy, wanton white supremacy, because there ain't nothing supreme about whiteness in this country or nowhere in the world. Wanton white supremacists. These are your Crayolas with 3 Ks. Let's check it out. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. Now, Congressional Black Caucus that I affectionately call Congressional, K-E-W-N, Congressional, or C-O-O-N, Congressional Black Caucuses, okay? Let's look. Now, before I show you, what's really problematic is that these Crayolas get 2 representations. They get their own Caribbean and African representation. They got their own caucuses, and they get what was intended for us, the Congressional Black Caucus. We are simply being taxed without representation to our own extinction. Let's go.
Look at the cool. Always cooning for you. Look at the cool. Look at the cool. Look at the cool. Always cooning for you. We got gray soldiers driving up and down the street, looking for a picnic today. Will it be you that gets pulled over for a broken light? And then they blowing out your brains, and then here come the coons. Oh, look at the coons. Wow, because we're living under the system of white supremacy, of white supremacy. Look at the coons. Look at the coons. Look at the coons. Always cooning for you.
So all together now, identity and respectability, parlay tricks must die for Negro to thrive in the country of our ancestors. Okay, moving on. Now, this is a Harlem resident. He's going off about New York City prioritizing migrants over citizens with the black vote, no less. Let's go.
Well, this is a sanctuary state. We do not want to hear excuses. These asylum seekers, the refugees, and the migrants, they did not vote for you. They did not pay taxes. And yes, majority of them are criminals. And if you saying that you have to deport them, but also at the same time say, well, this is a sanctuary state, this is a sanctuary city, essentially you're telling us you are useless to us. We have on 130th Street, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who was an American freedman, who advocated for the American freedmen, and you're telling us you can't do anything for Harlem? What does this say? Harlem homes for Harlem residents. Asylum seekers are not Harlem residents. They are not citizens. In the Constitution solely and is primarily for United States citizens, especially the American freedmen citizens. So when this man said that we're talking about Harlem, Harlem did not have the asylum-seeking renaissance. It was the Harlem Renaissance that was started with the American freedmen in the city of Harlem. So you must give priority to the American citizens. You must give priority to the American freedmen citizens. And when you stand up here and tell us you can't do anything, guess what? It's election time. It's election time. So we will let you know you can be removed just like how you got voted in.
Time. Boy, she couldn't wait to call time on that. That was Eric Adams. Yep. And the challenge is when you're dealing with a bunch of these demon radically run cities at time. That's right, love my folks, baby. Hi, Bruce. I see you, family. Aw, I'm so happy y'all here. Hi, Black Delegation Networks FBA. I just love y'all. Rolling with your sister no matter what time she comes on here. Y'all are my real day ones, twos, and threes. Thank you so much. And for those of you tuning in that are new to this, I thank you for rolling with your sister at this late hour. But I had to get this up and out because I have so many broadcasts to bring you, and they're just piling on and piling up. And so I try to get here weekly. Sundays after church is generally when I'm here, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Please spread the word. I'm being shadow banned and I've been demonetized. So if you'd love to bless the Cash App as a producer of the broadcast, please do so at $TRPTV. Thank you in advance. Our people are putting the immigrants before themselves. Our people voted for those politicians. Mary Lee, you ain't never lied. And I warned them against this because I'm living the horrors of the Black vote here in Southern California. And I tried to warn them, don't vote for Eric. Don't vote for BJ, Brandon. I tried, don't vote for Warnock. Yes, vote for Herschel Walker. It's a protest vote. Now Atlanta is being taken over by immigrants. It's exhausting because we have nowhere to go. And most of us don't have the resources to even leave. And even if you were to leave, they're not giving you their reparations. They're not going to be setting you up the way the DemonRATS have set up these illegals to have more of an American life than the Negro with our own vote. Not mine. I stopped this bullshiggity after Obama. And now I'm just trying to teach you how to weaponize your vote and send a strong ass message to these DemonRATS. No more. You will not use us to extinct us. Atlanta lost their Black majority under Keisha Lance Bottoms. Yes, love my folks. Yes, I'm coming, y'all. I'm not going to leave before I get to your comments. It just is what it is, child. Just pretend I'm the 11 o'clock news. What can I say? Okay. I want to. This sister says, then folks are using George Floyd to get freedmen in the streets. Let's hear what she's got to say. I think this is African diaspora. I didn't ask permission, so I'm going to try to.
Video of a queen discussing just how much them.
Ooh, child, they messed
It's this Chinese company that you see everywhere. Well, actually, Shenyun is made in.
Them folks who never took our struggles serious and turned a blind eye to our issues, just how much they want us to come out of our homes to help them. Take a listen. Never in a million years did the powers that be think that they was going to have to be letting out or threatening to let out the Derrick man to incite Black people to get involved, to prick our emotions, to get us out in the street. They thought we was already going to be out in the street, Black people. And this is only showing, and this is only proof that what we're doing is working, and that they are so desperate for our energy and our power, and they want us in this fight because they want to feed off of us. And for the first time, we've recognized it, and we like, oh no, we're not playing y'all game. We're not playing y'all game. Y'all gonna have to save yourselves. It don't matter. It don't matter what you do. We see through it. And I'm just so proud of us Black people. I'm so proud of us for recognizing, what is actually happening and what's going on. And what's so funny? For us to be DEI and be unimportant and irrelevant, why they keep messing with us? Like, why they not letting us be? We just said we resting, we minding our business, doing our own thing, having our own conversations, building our own communities, having our own communities. And, they just trying to poke and prod. But why are you doing that to the people who ain't supposed to matter? So, they telling on themselves, people. But we're going to keep doing what we've been doing, what we said we were going to do from November 6th, standing on business. And that's what we're doing. We're standing on business. But did she lie, though? I mean, did she lie? I didn't detect not one. Now, for those who can't remember, Derek Chauvin was found guilty on multiple charges of unaliving George Floyd by placing his knee over his neck for an extended period of time. Now, he's currently serving concurrent sentences of 20 years for state and federal charges. Now, despite medical records and examinations stating that Floyd died from asphyxiation, there's a number of them folks who still say he died from a drug overdose. The delusion. Now, based on the people who choose to believe this made-up foolishness, them folks are now trying to grow a movement, which was actually started by Ben Shapiro, to have Trump pardon Derek.
Even Elon Musk got in on this one. Now, again, he's been charged federally and by the state of Missouri. With this being said, if he gets out of the federal charges or pardoned from them, he would still have to serve the state time. Well, unless they have a finesse. Now, I do hear a few outlets discussing it or trying to push this agenda, but I don't hear it much from the Black grassroots. Now, Black people, I'm sure they want Chauvin to be released on these bogus claims that I made up. But they also want our people in these streets very, very, very bad. They know to mess with our emotions because we are emotional people. And this is just bait to play with your emotions or just get you mad so that you will then go out in these streets with them because you're mad that they released Derek. And it's easy to get angry about what happened to George Floyd. And he's been one of our soft spots since this incident happened. But this is cap. Don't worry about them releasing Derek. As sad as it is to say, he wouldn't be the first person they let go free or who's gotten away with doing terrible things to our Black freedmen. Trayvon Martin, Emmett Till, anyone? I would run out of room if I named everybody. Also, I read somewhere that they were thinking about taking down the statues that they have of him in different places. Let them take it down. Let them take it down. It didn't do anything or produce justice for us anyway when it comes to Black people. Now, I never said don't remember him or to be disrespectful towards George Floyd, but these people who we vote for 90% of the time did not pass anything that produced tangible results for us. Not even the George Floyd bill that they had. They played around with that. None of these people did anything for Black freedmen in regards to reparations, a hate crime bill, or anything that will produce tangible policy or resources. Hell, I'm insulted they didn't pass the George Floyd Act, but was able to pass something tangible for the Asians. I mean, make it make sense. Now these people are out here losing their minds, and their jobs and their benefits, and they can't have their way. And they're all over the place. They can't handle suffering. They're used to it being us. Well, that's on them. When we tried to tell them folks, all of them in both parties, them folks, women and men, how we felt and how we felt they were treating us for decades, they turned a blind eye and labeled us as lazy or complainers. And God forbid we bring up anything about our race issues. These folks have taken us for granted for just too long, man. Just too long. And they didn't appreciate the people, us freedmen, who they need so much. And it's killing them to admit they need us, even though it's obvious. Now, even the women, I want to zero in on them folks, women for a minute, especially the ones who act so friendly. Now, they are the first to undermine us. Many people refuse to see it because, Black American freedmen history, we should know. Did you know that there were many Black business districts or Black downtowns all across the U.S. at one point? These areas weren't just places to live. They were vibrant hubs of Black entrepreneurship, culture, and resilience. Now, Chicago's Black business district, known as Bronzeville, is not in many history books, but this area proved that all Black American freedmen ever needed was each other. It was also the answer to Black Americans experiencing Jim Crow in some of the Chicago area. Here is the backstory. Now, during the early 20th century, Black Americans were cut off from whites due to segregation, and they began moving into the Bronzeville, Chicago area. Now, them folks would then label the area as Black Ghetto or Darky Town, but Black Americans would rename their area Bronzeville to reflect their beautiful skin tone and also redefining their name on their own terms and just taking control of the narrative. Now, Bronzeville was small, but at its peak had over 300,000 people within its 7-mile strip. Despite limited resources and systematic racism, Black Americans built a flourishing Black business district here where they could shop, dine, live, entertain, and more. Some of Bronzeville's many Black-owned businesses included theaters, restaurants, nightclubs, hair salons, barbershops, grocery stores, banks, and the area even had one of the nation's first Black-owned hospitals, Providence Hospital. Now, Providence Hospital was founded by Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, a Black surgeon who performed the first open-heart surgery, making history within a system designed to exclude him. Bronzeville was also noted for having some of the country's best Black entertainment of poetry, jazz, and more. Places like the Black-owned Regal Theater hosted some of the country's most talented Black entertainers, and the community was also home to many prominent Black intellectuals at the time, like Mr. Louis Armstrong, civil rights activist Ida B. Wells, Langston Hughes, and more. Unfortunately, then and much like now, Black success was still seen as a threat. Now, urban renewal programs labeled as progress brought about destruction in many Black towns and communities across the U.S., and Chicago's Bronzeville was no exception. The construction of the Dan Ryan Expressway would start the destruction of Bronzeville as it cut through the heart of the Black community, destroying many businesses and homes. Then next, integration. While integration was said to offer new opportunities and options for Black Americans, those options came at a price, and that price was a slow decline of one of the most thriving Black business districts in America, as well as loss of millions. And
watch what eggs do
Okay,
to
guys,
your
I'm gonna
brain.
stop that
Take
there.
a look at these 2 brain scans.
I didn't mean to get that involved with that video, but I didn't recall that part when I was researching what to show you today. But I like that part. I think it's very important since I'm going to bring you this story maybe on Sunday. I got to figure out what I'm doing Sunday because I really want to bring you some important updates to the California reparations fight and the betrayal of the California Black Legislative Caucus down here. But there is a video that I wanted to frame a response behind concerning Trump wanting to remove funds from the Black American Museum, the African American Museum in DC. I think it gets about $1 billion a year, and he's running out there and placing executive orders and wanting Congress to stop the bag because basically this country wants to whitewash our history to pretend as if what they've done to us and continue to do to us isn't a byproduct of their vitriol and racist hate against the Negro whose ancestors built the country that they enjoy the fruits of predominantly. And so this brother is welling and gnashing his teeth about it and wanting us to put on the cape. What I find to be, really, really, what grates on my last nerve is the fact that you don't hear them wailing and gnashing their teeth as hard for our reparations as you do for them to hold on to symbolism. You see, what difference does a museum make when we need to be teaching our children our own history? We need to establish schools the way the Asians have and all these other immigrant groups have to educate their children and to keep their lineage and their history alive. Why do we need to depend on $1 billion from the government to fund museums and institutions that will tell the truth? Why aren't we fighting as hard as we do for symbolism, for reparations for the Negro, a debt that is owed? Why aren't you demanding of the DemonRATS, whom you love and cleave to so much, like your white masters to this day? Why don't you implore upon them to stop talking slick and moving slick with the Black vote? And then you would not experience this backlash that you're experiencing currently from the Negro. Why isn't your energy being used for that? Why is it that we've got billionaires like Oprah Winfrey who would rather go over to Africa and establish schools instead of establishing schools in the Chicago that made her a billionaire? What about the rest of our athletes? Why can't they pull the money together to put up $1 billion a year to ensure that the African American History Museum stays afloat despite the federal funding being pulled? Well, damn, I just did my Sunday broadcast, at least a segment of it, because those were all the questions I was going to raise on Sunday. I didn't mean to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm saying that to say that whenever we build it, they find a way to redline us, build a railroad or a highway through it, anything to decimate us. And then everybody wants to sit around and scratch their proverbial balls and ask, how did we get to the highest rates of incarceration in the world and Black on Black crimes and murder when we can't even delineate I don't know if the black on black crimes and murder are Negro or melanated immigrants that were unvetted and unvaxxed and dropped into our communities. Since the OMB is denying us the right to delineate so that we can really keep track of these numbers, they love to flatten blackness because I've told you all that the goal is to ethnocide, genocide economically the Negro for the melanated immigrant who comes from money because they descend from the slave traders. They come from money and they've got nuclear black families. After this government destroyed our nuclear black families, want us focused on everyone but each other, when Negro love is the real revolution. But I digress. Hi, Rita. Oh, baby, I can't. Oh, that last name, baby. I'm so sorry. I won't even try it this hour. Let me keep going. Rita, welcome to the live. I'll be over to read your comments. Hi, Michael Penn. Welcome to the live. I'll be over in a minute. I'm almost done. I think. Lord have mercy. I agree with Jamal Green here. Trump deportation efforts with the new wave of migrants needs to increase because assistance has run out. A lot of them are actively committing more crimes, and it's adding on to our current issues. The focus needs to be on the millions who just came across the border since 22. I agree with Jamal. I believe these efforts are way too slow. I agree. And it's, let me go back to what happened prior to Bronzeville. That segment got me a little distracted. I just wanted to show you that George Floyd piece because, I know I've addressed in a prior broadcast about, them begging for Chauvin's federal sentence to, be pardoned. But he still has 20 years with the state, so it don't matter. And always remember, the state is where the majority of Negroes dwell. So I doubt that he'll make it 20 years, but I digress. I just want to show you that they're going to be pulling out all the stops to get us in a lather, to get us in these streets. And I'm saying to remain on vacation, learn the newest line dance, pop your champagne, find the nearest beach. It is time for us to sip on our tea and to munch on our popcorn and not get involved. You've got to get to the place, my fellow Negro, where you refuse to let anyone or anything disrupt the calm peace of your soul. You must do it because they're going to pull out all the stops. And when we go to the streets, you already know what we experienced under George Floyd. Total chaos and mayhem. And I don't want any one of us hurt. Rest, family, and organize and keep your focus single. Let me keep going. This is how the government uses African and Caribbean immigrants to make Black American U.S. freedmen ethnocide invisible. Who is Black on the block? Black immigrants and changing Black neighborhoods. I told y'all. Nobody wants to listen to me until it's way too late. Let me just focus on these highlights. Findings show an increase in Black immigrant relate to a decline in the Black native population and an increase in white residents within a Black American neighborhood. Furthermore, the presence of Black immigrants relates to native-born Black and white integration by preceding Black entry into white neighborhoods and white entry into Black. So this is how they're getting rid of us, y'all. For all intents and purposes, this neighborhood remains a Black neighborhood, but its racial and ethnic character has Well, I've got to find the article now, y'all. Who is black on the block? Let me see. Hold on. This is what I've been talking about. But who listens to me? That's not what I intended. Let's go back. This is a problem with flat blackness. Let me see if I can find it another way. Nima Dahir. Hold on. I lost the spelling that fast. Dahir. Okay, let's see if we can find the article. Who is black on the block? In recent decades, let's see how long this is, y'all. It's not very long, but this doesn't look like it. In recent decades, the U.S. has seen a significant rise in black immigration, reshaping black neighborhoods and the landscape of black America. This is a problem, y'all. Flat black is for our ethnocide. Y'all don't get it. Using census and American Community Survey data, this article examines the relationship between an influx of black immigrants and changes in neighborhood racial composition and segregation. Findings show an increase in black immigrants relates to a decline in the black native population and an increase in white residents within a black American neighborhood. Okay, me speaking here. Remember when I told y'all when we were at the OMB, I was at a meeting and they said that our numbers remain static because, and I'm paraphrasing here, that as they are ethnocide, economically genociding us, they are replacing us with moneyed, nuclear, melanated immigrant families. Put it in the chat. Do any of y'all remember me sharing about that OMB meeting? This article supports what I told y'all happened to me in that OMB meeting a few years ago. When Mark Morial of the National Urban League came in after 20,000 of us demanded delineation, and he came in after the meetings and everything was done, they made a special meeting for the National Urban League to come in there and fight against delineation. And they prevailed. One of him and his legacy org and 20,000 of us. And they blamed it on us not being on the same page of how we wanted to be referenced. Because folks were fighting to be identified as FBA. We were fighting for who we legally are, Negro freedmen. Others were fighting to be ADOs. Like, it was a mess. And so they were able to use it as an excuse to give Mark Morial, who showed up late to the party to fight for melanated immigrants, to be able to stay flattened in this country so no one is the wiser when we are ethnocided. He prevails. No confusion in that. Because that is the government and the OMB's intent, and it always has been, because they keep changing who we are. And now it's illegal to fight against discrimination based on race in this country. And we're stuck under flat black as a color instead of as an ethnic group that we are, so that no one is the wiser when we're finally replaced. With the black vote. This is what the Negro vote has garnered us. Let's keep going. I don't feel like reading it. It's too much, and I'm just getting tired of this nonsense. Truly, I am. I don't understand why we as a people always have to touch the fire in order to know that we're on fire. Why do we have to be set up on fire instead of heeding the warnings of someone that it's already happened to and getting active? Like my mama used to say, you don't believe the fat meat is greasy until you see it burning. It's despicable. I'm sick of us always being somewhere else and fighting and putting on the cape for everybody else while this is happening to our collective. And then everybody want to show up Johnny come lately. This is what the DemonRATS have always done. They always create our problems, then want our votes to be the solution to our peril. Hold on. What is going on? So I think I'm going to save this one for our program about what's happening with the California Reparations Task Force. Just a sneak peek into that exchange. Basically, many of you may know this already, but the NAACP, the national, was paid $50 million by Wells Fargo Bank to run interference on our fight for reparations here in California. And we had Amos Brown, who betrayed us. He was sitting as co-chair on the California Reparations Task Force at the same time he was president of the San Francisco NAACP. And so someone posted this to call them out. NAACP rejects reparations proposals to give $5 million payments to descendants of slavery. That was for San Francisco, where Amos Brown, co-chair of the task force, was jointly the president of that NAACP chapter. And here you've got Wells Fargo awarding them $50 million to the NAACP. The NAACP spoke against foundational Black Americans receiving $5 million in reparations. Meanwhile, they accepted $50 million from Wells Fargo. Make it make sense. And so I shared this, and then I don't know if I'm sure some of you saw this, but let's hear me speak on it, because I outed them here.
So I'm going to deal with that one when I get into the more recent events. I'm going to bring that back. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to get more into that because I want to give you guys some updates. I want to update you on Sunday. Well, I think it's going to be Sunday. I have to look at what I've already got scheduled. I want to update you on the California reparations. Also, what happened after that young girl got mollywopped in middle school by that big ass Hispanic. I believe he was illegal and more like 18 in a junior high. As big as he was, he looked like a grown ass man, and how he was whipping on a young black girl in Rialto. I want to bring you some updates on both of those. More than likely, that will be Sunday's broadcast. Let's continue. So I'll bring back that whole sellout with the co-chair and bring you up to speed on the issues out here, and they are many. I hope to have Umoya perhaps as a guest to help me unpack what happened. He is a part of ETM Media Group, who has his own channel. If you want to subscribe, he is responsible for the intro, the outro of this broadcast. So if you need that kind of work, seek out Umoya of ETM Media Group. And he's also responsible for the clip you just saw of my testimony at the task force hearing outing Amos Brown. Okay. Yes, Mary, we're going to get into Rialto. It is, whew, child, the ghetto. We're gonna get into some updates. I got it, from the ground. So I'm going to bring those more than likely on Sunday. But have to shift some of my programming around because I'm behind. Stand by. This is the danger of Indian CEOs. Their loyalty is to India first. They can care less if all Americans lose their jobs, just as long as they can replace them with Indians. This is how you lose a country. End H-1B visas. IBM to slash nearly 9,000 jobs in the U.S. The layoffs will impact several divisions, including the company's Cloud Classic unit. One source described the move as a resource action intended to facilitate shifting employment to India, a strategy that has reportedly been in motion for several years. They're trying to move as many roles to India as possible, a source told the news publication. Well, I don't know that I all the way agree with that. I do believe they want to lay off American workers. Once again, you have to ask what percentage of Negroes are impacted by this. You have to always ask that before you get yourself in the lather. We've already got too many fights. And while, yes, I do agree, let's end H-1B visas. If we can't convert those positions into positions for the Negro, then we're just fighting for more melanated immigrants to take our position. I'm not for expending energy on anyone but the Negro. So choose your battles wisely. That's why I'm fighting for reparations, something the Negroes aren't entitled to. Let me share my next one. Trying to get this done so we can get to the chat. The ethnogenesis of Black Americans. Let's listen to this. I like it. Hold on one second. So I thought I'd share.
No, ma'am. Black Americans have been Black in America since the first U.S. Census records in 1790, over 235 years ago. My entire ethnic group was reclassified to Black on paper. America had the first national racial census record conducted in the world. The world learned how to be Black from America. Black Americans are the embodiment of Black. It is my culture, history, and heritage. Black HBCUs, Black music, BET, Black entertainment, television. I don't got to add any acronyms to my ethnicity. Black American is my ethnonym. It is my ethnic group. Black is not a race. Black American is a lineage and is verifiable through family tree. We were already in America long before the United States was a country. Before its inception, the Black American was here. I'm not an acronym. I'm a Black American. No, ma'am. Black Americans have been Black in America since the first U.S. Census records in 1790.
So it's very important that we fight for delineation as well, family. It can't just be about reparations. We must fight to delineate so that specific data can be run on our specific lineage. They have deadened your ability to fight based on race in this country. All these other groups fight it based on their lineage, their ethnicity. We must pivot and do the same. We must continue to keep the pressure on to fight for our delineation, or we're done under flat Blackness. Flat Blackness is here to flatten and extinct us. Don't get it twisted. I've shown you too many examples for you to argue with me. Let's keep going. Okay, I think I'm at the end of that series. Yeah. Okay, so those are the only slides I have open. I've got more to show you, but we'll do it in another broadcast because the hour is late and I want to spend some time going over what my co-host has shared, sharing their comments and reviewing their questions. So let's get it started from the top. I'm going to go from the bottom this time. Rita says, Chicago folks don't play when it comes to this delineating movement. We've been calling out these Africans and Caribbeans for too long, far too long. Yes, Rita, you must continue to keep the pressure on until the victory is won. That means all of us nationwide need to be fighting for delineation. I just showed you how it is designed to extinct us based on skin color. They want to extinct us so they don't have to pay the reparations that they're inevitably going to have to unask that Skrilla, because the DemonRATS will not see the inside of that White House or control of this country again. Do know, for those of you who just got here, the DemonRATS declared war on us first and have been doing so for 70 years. They have literally been over-promising and under-delivering with the Black vote to our replacement and erasure with melanated immigrants and immigrants at large. We need a moratorium on mass immigration and an end to illegal immigration. We need delineation and run us our reparations before we're at zero wealth. I would venture to say it's not going to take to 2053 like they keep lying to you. Look to your left and look to your right. Do you know personally any one of your family and friends who enjoy any semblance of wealth? Put it in the chat. We're already a wealthless group. We are treading water. We don't have to wait till 2053. The pandemic finished us. Mary says, ethnogenesis, our people are finally waking up. We were here when the Europeans arrived. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we were. Not all of us came over here on slave ships. Most of us were already here. Yes, we have an ethnogenesis that is strong in our Black American communities. These tethers are amazed how we are calling out these scam BS. Honey, this internet has helped us to gather everybody. We throw in chairs every day, especially over in X. They are hotter than fish grease that we want delineation as they continue to try to tether onto us to our replacement. They want our position. This is why you must defeat them at the polls. If they are against reparations and you don't see it running on their platforms, they've got to go. They are of no use. Love my folks. So good to see you. And we gatekeep all of our names. That's right. We just need to call the new arrivals by their origin. Oh, the way they normally do. They normally call themselves by their origin until it's time to get our entitlements. Then they become Black American. Then and only then. But outside of that, you never heard them call themselves Black American. They're Caribbean, they're Jamaican, they're Nigerian, they're Guyanese, they're Dominican, they're Mexican, they're Latina. But when it's time to get something that is exclusively for us, the 14th, the 13th, the 15th Amendments, when it's time for civil rights, when it's time for affirmative action, everybody wants to be Black or at least weaponize our never-ending Holocaust that's still never ending to come up on our backs while we stay on the bottom. Trick no more good. We done figured it out. And just like we defeated y'all in 24, we got more where that came from in 26 and in 28. I'm on a mission. I'm going up. Let me hide that comment. Yeah, we must take all of our names back. Yes, the LGBTQs are here, but they aren't as prominent as they were 10 years ago. People have gotten sick of them nationwide, but do know that they are being used. The Black LGBTQ is being used to fight for the right to sex one another than they are the right to be Black. And when you look at the percentage of Black LGBTQ as compared to the whites, you come to realize that if the Black LGBTQ is being weaponized, it's for the white LGBTQ comeuppance. It's for their policies. It's for their reparations. So there is a percentage of the LGBTQ that has betrayed the Negro. They have betrayed their Blackness, thinking that, well, since I can't get anything as a Black person, I'm just going to weaponize my Black experience to help the majority of white LGBTQ, and I'll get a crumb. I'll get a crumb more than the Black collective. Not all, but some. There are some that are real riders. Marcel Dixon comes to mind. James Baldwin comes to mind. Real riders for Blackness, Black first. But there are a lot of LGBTQ, like the likes of a Billy Porter, a Don Lemonhead. There are a lot of them that love to cape for LGBTQ over Blackness. And they are a problem. Rita said the layouts are actually contractors who are from India. They are not laying off American citizens. They be playing in our faces with this damn wording. Well, I know that we suffer the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment in this country. And so I doubt very seriously we're the ones being laid off, but I do believe quite a few white folks are, especially in government jobs. Like I said, you always want to ask, who are you and what percentage of Negroes are impacted before you crash out? Because I don't really know how many of us are still even working on the federal level, okay, in the public sector. I know in the private sector, we have just been wiped out, at least here in California. I can't speak for everywhere, but when I'm looking at the color of wealth reports for Boston, for Florida, these immigrants have taken it over. So when they're referencing Black, they're usually referencing immigrants in the public and private sector. It's by design. Oh, word. I may have to give Bronzeville another look. Between the taxes, illegals, and immigrants, I counted the Chi out, but I may revisit that option. I love it there. Okay, yeah, I thought about, I've had guests to the broadcast, P. Ray Easley, who is the founder of Chicago Red, and she lives in Austin. She has nothing but great things to say about it, and it's still predominantly Black. They're holding on. They're not allowing it to be taken over. I know that California is liberal on LGBTQ. Yeah, it's a whole takeover here and in Atlanta. Mary says, Rialto Californians, and I bet money not one of our males helped her. Well, sis, you're right, because our males really aren't there. They've got about 3% at that school where that big-ass, grown-ass looking Mexican mopped the floor with that baby girl. So they have no representation. And if it wasn't for me sounding the alarm for a call to action that went viral, to the point where they literally had to take the phones off the hooks. Okay? We lost our entire ish all over the country. I sound the alarm and folks converged on everybody in Rialto. And so they recently had a meeting, and I want to give you guys some updates, but I'll wait till Sunday because we're running out of time. Dr. Anderson calls these LGBT enclaves cool towns. You're welcome. I've been trying to leave Cali for a while, so I've been several places in research too. Can't figure where to go. That part, love my folks. It's a lot to uproot your entire life and to give up the place you love, even when you know you eventually have to, right? I mean, look into Maryland. Some of those counties turn purple. If I were you, I would look for purple places. You know, I'm not a fan of moving all the way south, but Maryland, Chicago is a hot mess right now. It's still run by the DemonRATS. I'm not liking none of what they're doing, even if they got pockets that are holding on. I don't want to leave one DemonRAT state for another. It's got to be purple or red even. I'm very conservative, you know, just in the way I ebb and flow. I'm not for a lot of these DemonRAT agendas, which are designed to deny us. Like I said, they love to create problems and use our reparations and our votes as a solution. Michael says, I was surprised that the city government in San Francisco made Vietnamese an official language. That doesn't surprise me. Nothing they do in California concerning the immigrants surprised me. It appears that the Africans and Caribbeans, are self-deporting because they know folks will call ICE on them, and they rather self-deport. That way they can choose where they want to deport. Well, good for them. I'm glad they're self-deporting because they're not here to help us. They are here to take. And I will share that video again on Sunday. It's out of their own mouths. Most of Alabama is conservative, but the gays took over the city of Mobile in the mid-2010s. Wow, I didn't know that, love my folks. During that era, the LGBTs took Oakland and several other areas where Black folk live. Ooh. Yeah, wow. Well, when I was in the Bay, they were mostly concentrated in San Francisco. It's a damn shame that they took over Oakland. I used to live in Oakland and work in San Fran many moons ago. There are more Hispanic Latinos in America than us. Most will never leave. Well, Mary Lee, I don't necessarily believe that. I think that they are lying about the numbers, especially ours. While I do recognize that we've given about 100 million babies back to God, I still believe that we outnumber all the immigrant groups. And I think they're lying because to make us believe otherwise means it puts us in a state of panic and disarray. And when you're panicked and you're disheveled and you lack organization, then you don't have the strength to really fight for your collective because you're so busy fighting for your own survival and to matter. But the fact that our vote, whether you voted the couch, which I abhor, I don't agree with voting the couch. I believe you have to be intentional with your missiles and find the tangible you can eke out, because truth be told, even the DemonRATS don't support reparations, so it doesn't matter if they lose to a repugnant clan that's for deportation, closed borders. What no one's really talking about is that it was our protest vote, voting the couch, and third-party votes that cost the DemonRATS the election. So if we really didn't have the numbers, how were we so impactful in decimating the DemonRATS? That's what I need answered. So I really don't believe when they say that the Hispanic, the Latinas, Hispanic and Latinos outnumber us. I find that very hard to believe. I think our numbers are a lot larger than what they purport. But the way to extinct a people is to make them believe that they have fewer numbers and that they lack power, because there's power in numbers. And so we need to continue to fight like we are the majority of the minority in this country. I thought that Alabama is very conservative because it is against both illegal immigration and LGBTQ. I'm surprised. Thank you for telling me about this information. Wish I can say that about those Hispanic Venezuelans. They're behind are still around. Rita, are you talking about in Chicago? They're still around? Amos Brown, jogleg, a jagleg preacher. He ain't ish. Honey, did we find that out the hard way? Oh my God. So many enemies amongst us. TRP, I understand where you are coming from, because them folks don't want to deal with illegal immigrants living in their gated communities. No, they don't. And that's why they dump them in ours. They know that we're simply being taxed without representation. They know that the representation ain't for the Negro. It's for the melanated immigrant. And they know that they use the Negro vote to replace us in political space, to replace us in political spaces, as well as the public and private sectors. Well, in the past few months, love my folks, the African Caribbeans are moving out of the Black communities in Bronzeville, Lakeshore Drive, and Hyde Park. That's good. Egos. Too many people wanted the credit for naming us ADOS, FBA, Freedmen, Ben F, Hebrews. Mary Lee, you ain't never lied, honey. It was nothing but ego. But even greater than ego, the OMB is making excuses. They know who we are. They know that all this other stuff is YouTube. There was no reason to get confused over housing us under Black American and bringing in the Negro, the freedman, mulatto, colored. All of that should have fallen under African American. All of that should be under Black American. So if you weren't here, if your line can't be traced prior to the 1870 census, you're not a Black American, period. I don't care that you were born here. Being born here of immigrant families doesn't make you Black American. If I were born of Negro parents in Jamaica, does that make me Jamaican? Make it make sense? You can't? No, I wouldn't be. I'd still be a Negro because I'm birthed of Negro parents. I'd be a Negro in Jamaica, just like they're Caribbean and African and whatever and the like in America. It doesn't make you us. But that's by design because they want our position. Mobile has been taken over by the LGBTs last I checked, so no, it's not on my radar. I'm too metropolitan for the Deep South. No shade. Alabama is beautiful, though. Love my folks. Me too. I can't take that Southern hate and racism. No way, no how, no thank you. All we need to do is remove African from our names so we will be American. The woman that was in charge of the OMB before Trump took office was one of us. Well, it didn't help that she was one of us. They still allowed us to be taken over in the way they still allow flat blackness at Mark Morial's behest. So having one of us anywhere in control of a decision hasn't served us that much. Have you thought about moving to Mobile, Alabama, because there are not too many immigrants living in that state? Oh, okay, that's how that conversation started. The last time I was in Bronzeville and further south, I seen a lot of Jamaicans and Africans. I was surprised. The Negro replacement is here. And most of it came under Joe Crow with the Black vote, not mine. Bruce, they did this through bait and switch. We don't know who is Black. We let them all in. Anyone knows who Ty Direct is? He talked about this 2 years ago, Mary Lee states. Well, we didn't let them all in, Mary Lee, but the Negro vote is certainly responsible for how we got here. The Negro vote for the DemonRATS. I'm going to disagree. Flat blackness never existed, including melanated immigrants simply erased Black. Now we have foreign flags in Black spaces. No, it's okay to disagree, but flat Black has always existed. They've always used it. It's just being social mediaized. We're talking about it and we're awakening to it. Being politically educated has enlightened us to the fact that it's happening. And the travesty is our collective has by and large voted for it. Bill Clinton and his wife, excuse me, my lips are dry. Bill Clinton and his wife, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris love illegal immigration because they receive big money from big corporations and the super wealthy.
Correct, Michael. No lies detected. Bruce says, how have they been able to keep that information about their affluence from us for so long? How have they been able to keep that information about their affluence from us for so long? I don't know if I understand this question. If you're speaking of the color of wealth information that I shared earlier about the stark difference in LA between African wealth and Negro wealth, US Black as they call it, it's been easy to hide because we have been, and I'm going to respond as if you were referring to that. They've kept it from us for so long because we've been stuck on identity and respectability poli tricks for so long until Obama failed us epically. And that's when we were clamoring to understand poli tricks in America through a Negro lens. And that's when many of us met in the contemporary grassroots reparations movement. We were all being educated under Yvette Carnell at the time. That's what sparked the former ADOS movement. We've all left. She's got nothing but newbies over there under the hashtag ADOS. And yeah, I'm not going to spend time on that. It's in previous archives if you want to understand how that happened. But yeah, that's how they were able to, because it took the social media for us to start searching for answers about how did we get here. And when we learned, we got active and we remain active. Okay, moving up. We must dead this Black immigrant term. It's melanated immigrants. That's right. Or identify them by their country or region of origin. I refer to them as melanated immigrants. So forgive me if I spoke out of turn. I don't refer to them as Black. I refuse. Since learning the trick bag that we're in. You are right. Our people won't listen and will show you disdain, trying to get them to understand what's really going on. It's very true, Mary, but we have to keep talking. You know, the fact that we were able to deliver Trump lets me know that somebody's listening. When I first started talking about the protest vote, I was met with a bunch of backlash. And then 28% of us showed up. And it cost Kamala the election. That, along with the couch vote, which I totally disagree with, and the third party voters. I would prefer you vote a third party than to vote the couch. To me, voting the couch is politically lazy. And it may have worked this time, but with these demon rats working feverishly to get the vote for the illegal. You see, when you're talking legal immigration and illegal aliens, you're talking had the demon rats prevailed this last election cycle, you're talking about the Black vote would have rendered 50 plus million more immigrants, because the DemonRATS would have used our vote to grant these illegals between the DACA and the illegals that just crossed the border citizenship. That's what would have happened with the Black vote had we not gotten active. So I've got to believe that we are being heard. And I feel like going on. Michael says there is a correlation between illegal immigration and gentrification of Black American communities. Absolutely there is. Gentrification was used to push us out of our communities. Illegal immigration is intended to economically genocide us. I've been finding out so much dirt and scam BS with these Pan-Africanist Africans and Caribbeans, especially the ones with these 501c3s in Chicago Black communities. Trump has been shutting them down. Yes, yes, yes. I am here for it, Rita. Isn't it unconscionable how much money these nonprofits have been paid by the DemonRATS to our erasure and replacement? They play a pivotal role in how we got to where we are on the bottom of this Titanic. You're absolutely correct. Even fighting here for reparations, they refused to give the soil money to fight. They gave it to the Pan-African orgs. We'll get into more of that on Sunday. Okay, I'm almost at 10:30. I'm going to take a few more and then I'm going to pray us out. I'm getting sleepy and I got work in the morning, as to you. Thank you. Okay, so let's hide that. The immigrants that have money stay home. No. The immigrants that have money want our position, and they're being given it because they can afford to come into this country. This country is not about to take care of melanated immigrants who are poor. That's why you saw them beating the Haitians back at the border. Okay? So no, the immigrants that have money love this country. Who wouldn't love to step into a country that's already modernized? I was watching a video of some flood in Ghana that collapsed this American's back wall. Like, how poorly was that made for the whole wall to collapse? They want our position, and that's just the truth of the matter. At Bruce, nope, they came from U.S. aid. I don't know what that means. It's probably referencing a comment that's above. I started from the bottom because the last time I started from the top. Mary Lee Phillips Scott said that Black American athletes make $80 million a year. White Americans would watch them. You are right. Thanks so much, sister. Before the delineation movement, that name was my former Pan-African name when I didn't know any better. I need to update my Gmail account to Rita Chapman. I am FBA. Oh, I see. I couldn't pronounce it. Gabadian? Beautiful name, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay, family. Let's do some declares and decrees, and let me pray us out. It's 10:30, and I need some rest, as do you. So stand by. In closing, before I do the declare and decree, I just want you to know that the promise wasn't that the weapons wouldn't form. The promise is they will not prosper. Know that we are bigger than these issues that we face, as gargantuan as they appear. We are the David to its Goliath. And know that it's very important that we weaponize our vote. And I hope that with each broadcast, that's becoming more and more clear to you. Because as I teach it to you, I need you to pay the message forward. I need for you to share these links with the people you know who are open at the top. We're only looking for our tribe. And as you see, I didn't need everybody to break the back of the DemonRATS this election cycle. They're messing with one of God's favorite daughters and God's favorite people. We are his chosen. Never forget it. Not these Ashkenazis, none of that. No, 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 no. It is us. Never forget it. That's how special you are. The blood is on you. The blood is on your families. The blood is on your door. Just know that and rest in that. Get the education to arm yourself for whatever tangibles you can eke out, because the whole goal is to defeat the DemonRATS for their intentional neglect of our people to our peril. They must pay. And me and the ancestors and many of you are seeing to that. And we're not letting up on reparations, on delineation, on an end to qualified immunity, on an enforced anti-Black hate crime bill. I want to enforce the way they enforce it for the Jews in this country, for the Negro, and for all Blacks for that matter, in this country. So stay strong and know that these challenges didn't come to stay. They're coming to pass. Trust and believe you me. I declare and decree that the highest form of righteous judgment is served over all corrupt beings of the government, judicial system, including the police officers, CPS, Child Protective Services, judges, attorneys, FBI agents, the CIA, all personnel working for the U.S. corporation with 3 Ks, the DemonRATS and repugnant clans with wicked intentions. All hidden corruption and agendas are now destroyed forevermore in spirit and in flesh, in sleep and in awakened states across all timelines, realms, and dimensions, known and unknown. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Negro freedmen, descendants of the emancipated, and our allies are, God truly is, because, family, you are the face of God. Yes, you are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until we meet again Sunday, family, I want you to make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening and work week. And until next time, family, I'm believing for each and every one of us a ton of peace, love, and reparations, 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 family. Yes, I am. Stay strong in the struggle. We got this. We got this.